Okay, now for this one, the top motor mount, the top right side, passenger side motor mount. Okay, we're gonna need, again, 14 millimeter wrench and 14 millimeter socket with ratchet and an extension, a 6-inch extension. This is the center hole that the bolt runs through, and the nut would go on the other side. 14 millimeter screws will go through here, right? There are 2 of them. One here, one here. I'm going to loosen these 2 right here on the top. All right, remember now, you have to jack up the engine on this end when you're doing this job. Otherwise, when you loosen these, the engine's going to drop down somewhat. Okay, this one is loose also. Drop the socket. It's not going to fall any further than the floor. And now we're going to loosen the center one. Check it out. Put the nut back on the bolt so you don't lose it. This should come right out. Okay, there's a little crack along here. You might not be able to see it. Let me put this in here. See on this side here, right up in this edge. Okay, and also right around there. See that gap? Okay, take the new one, feed it in the same way. Get the light over this way some so I can see the beginning of the hole. Line up the hole, run the bolt through. Keep it loose and jiggle it around, hopefully. Okay, I gotta take the light and look and see how much or how far off I am. Okay, we're quite a ways off on the other end. And that's because the space is tight right up in here. Might be to my advantage to loosen. It might be to my advantage to loosen the 2 12 millimeters right here to free this bracket. Okay, this is the alternator adjustment bracket because it's hidden up against the mouth right here. Okay, we're going to run this center bolt in. And then, the nut off, I don't know where I lay it. There you go. Put the nut back on the other end. Just hand tight. Do about maybe 3 or 4 turns. the engine down a little bit. And we need to line the mount up by using that big Phillips punch. And that's where these holes come in handy. Hole in the top of the mount, you have to get it once again. Going in is not always as easy as taking it apart. Now putting this back, we had some difficulty in lining these holes up here, this hole, and these two. So it was easier to take this bracket off and the alternator top bracket, adjustment bracket, to give us more room in this area to work. And in doing so, we were able, with manipulating the jack to raise and lower the engine. We also found that we needed to move the engine forward to line things up. So we used this jack handle in between here and the shock tower to pry the engine forward like this. If you look, you can see the whole mount shifting. And once we got that lined up, we're able to drop these two screws in place, right? Snug them down, and then go ahead and start working on putting this bolt back in. Now, we're able to line that up by raising and lowering the engine. We got one end in, but the other end was out of alignment as it was coming through. So by putting a little pry driver, I call it, between here and pressing, moving the engine this way, we're able to line that up and slide it bolt through. Put the nut on, and now we're going to tighten everything down and replace this bracket. Okay, we're tightening and replacing the bracket. Just simply the reverse of taking it apart. Two screws. You hear me talk about a screw and a bolt. I was taught many years ago there's a difference between a screw and a bolt. A bolt has a nut on the end. A screw, even though they look the same, screws into a part. In this case, it's going into the engine block. So we call this a screw, and the one that carries a nut on the end is called a bolt. Nut and bolt. I don't think you ever hear anybody calling it a screw in a bolt. Put the other one in down here. There should be a screw going in through here, but this car did not have one, so I have to try and get one to complete the job. I do not have one right now, but one will be put on at a later date, at a later time today.